going like, how does this camera work? Where's the pause button?
We're going live. I'm a cat. I'm actually a cat, guys. I lied. I'm not a person.
What you're expecting, Elon Musk? Anybody who catch that part will get that reference if they watch that series. Good evening, UN Spacey Wolf Squadron. It's your Wolf Commander Wolf 10. I'm your werewolf. We're going to be talking about how one should consider when creating anything of any kind, generating an audience, where to get your audience, how to know your audience, and what kind of audience do you want to pull in. Now, there's no right way or wrong way. As it seems these days. I mean, anybody can garner an audience if you want to act like a fool out on the street. Temporary audience, yes, but an audience nonetheless. Or you can create a staying audience, which I like to call a staying audience, which is the audience that just knows you and adores what you do and just sticks around. Or you have already the ideal audience that you want to pull in, and you work your hardest to pull in that audience. Like me, for example, I 322, it fluctuates, 23 or 24 subscribers. So apparently I'm doing something right with my channel. I'm with the Bear of the North, Eloise Dottle.
Hello, everyone. How you doing?
Should
The
just call her
Warrior.
the cat of the North now.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because you just revealed your cat.
Yeah,
Like,
but it won't have a nice ring to it. The feline of the North. Besides, now I gotta imagine Liana Mormont as with a cat face running towards the giant now.
Yo, somebody should do like a Photoshop of that. Liana Mormont, but it's a cat running instead.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I still would dude. I would pay like good money for anybody to freaking just clip that scene and clip Chucky's voice over her mouth as she runs towards the giant. You fucking bitch! You stupid slut! You think you can fuck with me?
you will face. I will kill you with my bare paws.
Fucking run up on him, get picked up by the damn giant, and you just have freaking Chucky voice. You think you can fuck with me? Just clip all the Chucky lines. Just clip all that shit. I'll be there for that shit.
What other cat jokes can I think of?
Speaking of which, since he's talking, the Warrior of Light, Final Fantasy Fan 12, everybody.
Greetings, YouTube viewers and fellow Final Fantasy fans. This is Final Fantasy Fan 012 here, and welcome back to another live stream of the UN Spacey Wolf Squadron. Sorry, Eloise is already laughing at the many cat jokes I made. But today we are talking about our audience. Whenever you are going to be writing, this is always the one thing that every single writer will tell you if you do want to be a writer, is know your audience.
And please forgive the noise in the background. The neighbors are freaking the usual Mexicans that work on machinery a lot. So yeah, there's no drive-by shootings in my neck of the woods. Thank goodness for that. But yeah, just in case if you hear loud banging and metal clanging, that's me. Well, my neighbors outside of our doors. So who wants to start leading this off?
I mean,
Sure.
I pretty much will, because generally I would like to say something off the bat, because I already said this in my intro, because this is always the most important thing to keep in mind of whenever you're writing, especially if you want to be a writer and you ask about your favorite writers. Any writer, even your favorite writers, will absolutely tell you about this, is to know your audience. Whether it is going to be some pre-established media like Star Wars or Marvel and DC Comics. Hey, Marty. Um, whether it's Marvel or DC Comics or Star Wars or Star Trek,
Mm-hmm.
you would have to write for that type of audience. But unless if you're writing something else, then this is always another thing that writers will also tell you when writing your genre. Or no, whenever you're writing a story. Pick your genre. Sci-fi, fantasy, horror, romance, any of those. And there are some expectations placed on them, and you may as well have to meet those expectations and to exceed them. They won't guarantee success, but hey, it's better to guarantee to to have promise on those expectations than an empty promise. Whether sci-fi fans would like to see androids, aliens, different planets, different types of technology, while romance enthusiasts would like to see a college girl or make her fateful decision to which boy she would rather be happy with. Even she would rather be happy with throughout her entire life, and pretty much vice versa. Whether you are reading actual romance novels or sometimes if you're reading harem, sometimes if they would ever even go that route, which actually yeah, they probably actually would. Um, or if you're writing a fantasy, people would expect brave heroes saving maidens from dragons. Those expectations need to be met.
So what? So what kind of examples could you give about empty promises? Like what not to do when you promise one thing to your audience, but you do the exact opposite of it.
That's pretty much that. It's basically it's like trying to make a promise that you would never really keep. It's almost like basically almost like lying. So
Or rather, let me rephrase. You promise them one thing, but you give them something differently.
pretty much yeah,
Like if
because
it's like, say for instance, if you say you're going ahead, you're promising sci-fi adventure and action, right?
mm-hmm,
But your story is about a sci-fi slice of life.
mm-hmm, because like this is also another thing that writers will also tell you. Aside from that, is that you have to maintain your focus on whichever part of your story is. Just always focus on your story, unless if you're making a short story, which is focused on nothing else but the plot. They're not that easy to write, even though short stories are by definition shorter. But they're not always that easy. They're not always that easy to write. So what you need to focus on your short story is nothing else but the plot. Even when you might be writing an
Hmm.
anthology series, unless if it's like at least like 5 extended stories, like the Silmarillion, where we have the first two stories which are focused on the creation of Middle Earth, where we know about the Valar, especially um, a little bit of the Maiar, and then we go to the main event of the story, which is the Silmarils, which are the main plot device of the Silmarillion, hence the name. But then we
Mm.
go to the last two, which is more so stories of Middle Earth during somewhere around the Second Age. So we do get an appearance of Galadriel in there, especially Sauron becoming a new Dark Lord from Middle Earth, especially his defeat when he was defeated by Isildur.
Mm.
But yet the One Ring doesn't get destroyed, which we do see in the movies, in the Peter Jackson films. Um, but yeah, it's pretty much an anthology series. But then again, if you're writing a bigger story, you always have to focus on what's going to be your central core of the story as a whole. Like, say, if you're making a hero story, and then suddenly you give them more of a romance instead of focusing on the save the world plot line. That
Right.
people didn't come from expecting that; they expect a hero story. Like, say if they want to make a Batman story, like Batman giving charity to a children's hospital, which would be something that Bruce Wayne would do, really. But if that's going to be the entire plot, that'd be just freaking boring. But Batman fighting his rogues gallery, bada bing, bada boom, kid. You got yourself a novel. Or graphic novel, actually. I, I don't know why I sounded like Al Capone. Like, I went to Chicago to get to just in order to get some money for my kid. I love my wife dearly. If I'm Wait, I know that's actually. I know he said something like that about that. He said that he loved his wife dearly in an audio.
Focus, final.
Sorry, but yeah, always maintain your focus with the story, whether focusing on still the plot if you're writing a short story, or still maintain whatever's going to be your focus, what audience is expected on your story.
Eloise, what's your 2 cents on that? On all of this?
On finding an audience, not a lot of indie creators put enough effort into marketing
Why is that?
because a lot of them operate under the impression that people, like, if you make something, people will show up.
That's
When,
usually the case, but you will have to really consider marketing to get that done. You don't just like just throw it out there like it's a fishing lure and hope that
yeah,
somebody will snag it. There's a lot to say about when you want to be an independent creator. Like look at small business for example. Think about how they get how they get their business done, get their business out there, promotional, even
yeah, a
even the
lot of
marketing
days,
and
like for
word of
small
mouth.
businesses, just like having your own website, like online.
Hmm.
Like, don't just have your social medias, because like sometimes a lot of people don't have that specific social media. So creating your own website where you have everything that you've made or created displayed on that website can help as a sort of storefront on the internet that shows what you've done. And even when using social media, like, um tagging things consistently, or trying to, like, let's say if somebody finds your video on YouTube, having, like, these YouTube videos, like, at the end of each YouTube video, you often see YouTubers recommending other videos that they've created and things like that, or even like listing important links in like the description, or putting tags in the description. Like, it can help, um it can help lead the viewer into seeing more of your content, and hopefully then, you could get them to buy into what you're trying to sell.
We have the lovely Leia Val with us, Leia plus size.
Good evening, everybody.
Hello,
Now
Leia.
we're perfectly
Yep.
even out.
Hello, and hello to my fellow squadron, Eloise and Final, Commander, everybody out there listening. You've already started, so I'm not going to hold you up, but like I always say, I hope you enjoy the show and the information that we're going to give you this evening, and also have some fun as well. You know how we are.
I mean, I already explained like the two foundations that every single writer will tell you about writing your story, which does maintain with keeping your audience intact.
The thing is that one thing people have to learn as well is to have that momentum and building up on it and keep maintaining it. The
Yeah, that's
momentum
also important.
of how you produce and how like while you're creating, you're producing. So if nothing else, you know, you want to produce, but at the same time, you also want to maintain. By doing that, you gotta make sure your set goal on that on what you're setting out to do, which is really what all of us like to stress is quality over quantity. If you have nothing but just quantifiable, shall I say, stuff, sure people will be for that quality. I mean that quantity, but you know at some point they're going to be asking for quality. Are you going at some point are you going to improve upon this quantity now and or at least like step away from it and start improving on quality, start bringing in more quality now that you Like once you have that the audience coming up, you know, wouldn't you want to challenge yourself to maintain your audience's attention?
Because they expect better, really. They expect better
At some
stuff.
point, yeah, right.
Yeah. Because, like, this is even the same pretty much with comedy. Like, not that a lot of comedy would be bad, but most of the comedy is like whenever you see these like do not laugh challenges, there would always be like some form of a meme, which mostly would just be nothing else but meme culture. Like whenever there'd be like a glitchy, what's his name, Moist Tucker, or no,
Chris Tucker.
what's no, it's Moist Tucker, but his channel name is completely different. I forgot what's his name. Like it's him just like glitching out when he says "woo." What's the joke? It's just that he's already celebrating. It's just already glitching out. But that's already a meme. But what's the joke? There's got to be some build up here.
It's
Set
interesting.
and payoff.
It's interesting, Final, that you bring up comedy, because I was just talking to a person the other day about this. And I think one of the biggest problems is back in the day, for you little youngins out there, when Saturday Night Live first started in the it's in the 70s, and probably for the first 20 to 30 years, they were in the 70s, the 80s, and 90s, they had pretty good writers that wrote for them, that lived life, that lived life and knew life, so they knew how to come up with some good comedy. Today's writers now are these, and this is no offense on all of you there on this generation, because some of you probably are very talented writers, but they're hiring these college kids right out of college who have not lived life, so they don't know what is funny. In
Are
my
you
personal
stating
opinion,
that they don't know what the audience,
yeah,
or at least are you stating that that anybody who's stepping into this field of entertainment haven't really understood what the kind of audience that this whole production has garnered over the
that too.
years?
Yes, you could say that your
Do you
audience
think by
and
do you,
I go ahead with your
sorry,
question.
do you think by definition that's the reason why they insult the audience?
That's part of
Why
it.
they choose to label the audience, bigoted and all that stuff?
Yes, because they think the audience intelligence is beneath them, that they need more education than laughter. Do you know what I mean? That's why it's coming flat. That's why it's coming flat. That's the one way about knowing your audience. They
So
think the audience
let
just
me ask
doesn't
you
know any better.
this. So let me ask you this: do you think the modeling agents, the modeling side of things, garner audience on their own front? Did you ever feel like you were garnering an audience yourself when you were in the modeling gig?
Oh yes, because there was an audience there. What I was taught that when I started doing it in the 90s was there was a market that a lot of the designers were missing, which was to the plus size audience. They were there and they were ready to spend the money, but they were being ignored, and they didn't realize there was a large market out there for one, consumers who were plus size, who wanted to look good and be fashionable, and then two, for those that appreciated a healthy full figured body. So it was there,
Let,
but
let,
it's just the designers just
just
were
bring,
ignoring the market.
let's lay the record straight. Not validate their way. Just make them look fashionable.
Right. When I was doing it, and the models that I worked with, the woman who trained me, and even some of those that were coming up at the time, like Ashley Graham was just coming up into the market, it wasn't about being validated. It was about doing a job, and it was about being fashionable and looking good. It was not about some sort of validation, because I always tell people, just because you were plus size modeling, you didn't get a free pass. You had a trainer, you had a dietitian, but it was a healthy way of eating. You didn't have to starve yourself, but we didn't just go pigged out. You still had to maintain yourself in a healthy way. And a lot of people don't think that. They just think it's a free for all, but it was not a free for all at all. It wasn't. There
Huh.
was a trainer there every day to work. We had a trainer, we had someone, it was required that you had to work out. That was a requirement.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just how to be fashionable and present yourself in the best way possible, no matter where you were going. Because when I went in there, I came in like in sweatpants and t-shirts, and she was like, "Oh, we got to work with this girl." Like I said, I had to learn how to walk
Yeah, they
in
have to make you look
3 inch.
marketable.
Yes, I had to learn how to walk in 3 inch high heels. And one of the way I had to be marketable was she told me, I'll never forget her word. She said, "I don't care where you are, you have to make yourself look presentable no matter what you are doing. No matter you're just running to the store, you're running to the market, or you're coming here. You have to present yourself 100% all the time." So she said, those sweatpants have got to go, and we've got to present you in what clothing. She's told me, here are pieces in your wardrobe. This is what you need to make yourself presentable. That was what it was about. I never heard the word validation. It was about being the best you could be, and it gave you confidence. It gave you confidence in who you are. Now, like, again, there's nothing wrong with having confidence, but never was the word validation ever came up. It was about how you walked. They
I
had to
would
help me
say
how I walked.
confidence is
Everything.
the anti-validation.
Right. It's the anti-validation. So it was all about presenting yourself and being the best, most confident person you can be. You have to wear makeup. Wasn't any of this no makeup look. She said, no, 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 no. In here, you're going to put on makeup. If you don't know how to wear makeup, we're going to teach you how to put on makeup. And I had to go through the whole makeup class. It was, if anybody's seen The Devil Wears Prada, that was my training. So when I finally came out and I was ready to go, I was a whole new me, but I liked it. Okay. I liked it. I could look in the mirror at me and says, "Hey girl, you do look good." I didn't have to look at the mirror and put myself down. And I didn't have to have the mirror and tell myself I don't deserve any happiness, or I don't deserve to be beautiful because I'm large. I don't know where that statement
Well,
is coming from. I'm hearing
encourages.
that a lot lately. Go ahead, Wolf.
I hope that encourages Eloise in the long run.
Yeah, I like the way I look. She put me through hair, makeup, told me how you make your face up, how you present yourself,
I'm just waiting until
hygiene.
I'm waiting until summer is over because I cannot go outside and exercise right now. Like
It's okay,
Yeah,
Eloise. I have
it's
a
because I go out there in the sun and then I feel like my skin is burning and stuff like that.
I mean, fall just started. We're just now at the month of fall now. It's
Yeah,
September
I
now.
think I'm gonna
Negro,
make
it's
the
still
most of
hot as
fall.
hell out here, though.
Yeah, that's true. I'm just
I'm
Well,
like,
waiting
what
for
the fuck,
fall to
Summer?
hit.
Your job is done. Go back to vacation. Why you trying to be a prima donna? You acting up too much, man. Man, I was outside about to go into the barber shop. Sorry, side tangent. I was going on my way going to the barber shop, man. I was cooking. I had nothing but a t-shirt and some jeans.
it's 90 degrees here in Michigan today, and it's going to be 90, and we're going to be in the 90s next week. So when the kids go back to school, they can still wear their shorts. So final, it is September where we're at Michigan, but we're still burning up. Yeah. So
September the big heat. September gonna
Mhm.
be the big heat
Yeah,
before
the
fall
kids.
kick in.
Yeah, the kids when they go back to school, they can will still. I told my sister, who's my nephew's starting high school this year, and I told her let him wear shorts because it's still hot. Keep your shorts on. It's still hot outside. But also
Where the hell is everybody? Share this with you guys in the chat. It's Thursday, man. Y'all ain't passed out yet. I know it ain't that hot where you guys live. You guys got air conditioning, unlike us over here.
and I also want
Sorry.
to say
Yeah,
that
I
agency
got
that I
air
was
conditioning, but like going
my
out there, like once you start, for example, like there's a village. Well, it's called the village where it's more like a neighboring town, like within walking distance. But I walked all the way down there, and it was like burning up because the heat was just hitting me.
Tell me you weren't wearing a jacket.
I wasn't wearing a jacket,
Thank
short
goodness, because I was
sleeves and
seeing a
all.
whole lot of chicks. Every time I stepped outside and walked somewhere, I see a whole bunch of chicks walking around with jackets on. I'm like, what you cold for? How's you cold?
I think a lot of those people they don't retain body heat, so they're able to like endure the heat more than people who
Mhm.
retain body heat.
I got my fan blasting right now. Yeah,
I think
it's
Kat
Yeah,
mentioned that. Kat mentioned once that when she lost weight, she would feel cold all the time, like even when it was warm. So like some people don't have body like heat retention and things like that.
I was going to tell Eloise, I have I also have a recumbent bike, or like a stationary bike that I use because I know winter in Michigan, winters can be cold as you could possibly get, and so we don't go out much. But I use that bike, and I have a great time on my recumbent bike, my stationary bike. I have themes. I take my
you got
music
thick
and
thighs yet?
well, I'm getting there. I want to lose some of the fat off the thighs so they could be thick, shapely thighs. We're going for shapely
Mm,
thighs. And Eloise, I
tight
would,
muscles and everything.
yeah, yeah, yep. So I use that bike a lot. So if you can afford one, probably not, but if you find one, get you one. Get you one something for indoors. Going outside is great, but if
She's
you can't
telling
make it
you do
outside,
cardio.
yeah,
Do
you can do something.
lots of cardio.
Yeah, you can do some things inside. I put my music on, and each time I do it, I have a theme. Like Mondays is Michael Jackson Mondays, so I get on my bike and I sweat to Michael Jackson hits, because Michael Jackson songs can get get the pump going.
Let's get back
Working
into
day,
the topic though.
yeah. But yeah, anyway, yeah, that's the way it was with my audience. So
It's
our audience, Wolf, was not about validating; it was about consumers. They were there, and we would be successful because women would come up to us after the shows and say, I really like that. Is that what you're wearing? And sometimes I had to model inside the stores, like the Lane Bryant's and so forth. They would have fashion shows inside the stores to get the customers to buy the outfits. So if the women saw you in the outfits, it would help them they would be comfortable enough to wear the outfits. So it was more about giving to those consumers. And it was a market designers just didn't know was out there. They wanted to spend the money, but they were ignoring them. I used to do that. I don't know if they do that anymore, but when I was doing it, I used to be in the store. Remember, they didn't want me for print because I was tall. They want me to be more in runway walking or modeling in the store. So I actually did a lot of that, but it was not about validation. But I did like what I learned from it, which I learned how to care for myself and how to present myself when I'm out in public and whoever I'm with. And that was something that I learned from her. So I took a lot of it with me. And it wasn't about validation. It was about just looking the best that I possibly can look and being good and being confident in myself. So when I do look in the mirror, I can say, hey girl, you look good. Now that's the way I feel. These people today, I don't know what is in their heads. You know, but trust me, guys, we were not the purple haired, pink and blue and purple haired people you see now. We all looked good. We looked sophisticated, and we looked. And the agency is still
But I
constructing. I think
mean,
she's.
to be fair, it's not just like normal fashion and things like that have gone increasingly downhill. Like you look at runway shows now, and it's like garbage, like clothes made to resemble garbage and stuff like that.
Yeah,
they
So
yeah,
want to
it's
change the standards of beauty.
yeah. So it's
yeah.
not
And I
even
Ain't
had.
no audience in that.
it's not even that
Is it?
like I know people like will blame plus size people for like the way fashion has gone, but it's like fashion in general, not just like the plus size people, but also like regular skinny fashion models and things like that. Now they choose people who aren't even that good looking and they're skinny. They're like twigs with like
With
scrawny
them,
looking
them boy
faces.
faces.
Yeah, and like hair that's a mess, and they're wearing clothing that like resembles garbage or
And
whatever weird thing they're into for that for the theme of that fashion show. So it's not. It's like the entire fashion industry in general. It's like people have run out of ideas and they're just
No, 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 no,
going
no.
with
Say it
po-
right. They
the
don't have any ideas
yeah, they don't
to
have any
begin with.
ideas, so they're going with postmodernist bullshit.
you have a point. I do notice that now. that you're seeing, like we had there's a woman competing in Miss USA or something who should refuse to wear makeup. I want to show the world that natural beauty is what's really beautiful, and so you should be natural beautiful. Okay,
Bitch,
yep,
you ain't no beauty pageant. What the fuck you trying to protest for?
Didn't we had a conversation like that before?
Yeah, we did.
yeah.
I
But
don't
what
know
I'm
if it was live or not though.
Oh yeah, it was. It was.
but back to Eloise and the topic. What they have to realize, there is no audience for that. There is no. It may hurt their feelings, but there is no audience for. They don't mind different. I now say this. I have no problems with different body types in a fashion show. I'm going to say that right now. I have no problems with a plus size woman who wants to be in a Victoria's Secret fashion show. I modeled lingerie. So there is lingerie that is designed for a plus size woman's body. Very classy, very sophisticated, very sexy for your man. And it is, like I said, I modeled it. So there is a classy way of doing it. But what I don't like is dog, ugly, sloppy, like Eloise you just described. Who is that for? Who is that for?
The 1% of people that don't exist.
Final. You don't have to get rid of the thin models. You don't have to get rid of them. I'm not against. I don't say don't get rid of them. They can stay because they are beautiful too. But what audience wants these? I can't tell if they're man or woman. Wearing garbage bags. What is fashionable about a garbage bag? That was unheard of when I was doing it. We never looked like that.
Mr. Burns, there are 20 people there still calling you about this. Bring me 20 lawyers, Mr. Smithers.
Oh,
So, seeing you talk about knowing your audience, even us plus size women do not want to see people look ugly. Okay, we don't want that. They think we want.
Look
and
at
they
the
want
audience's reaction when they did with She-Hulk in the comics, where she's basically Hulk but with boobs.
Yeah, basically, yeah. Because she was Hulk, but she still was feminine. She was just hot, but she was still sort of feminized.
Actually, there was actually a video that I actually wanted to share pretty much with you, Leia. Actually, it was just from this idea because I was already looking over philosophies of Friedrich Nietzsche, where it's basically from this idea for freedom and individuality, because that all comes from freedom, and you need to get out. It's from this mentality where you need to get out from this herd mentality. This basically from this actually persona. I actually don't even know what I'm saying aside from Friedrich Nietzsche, but there's nothing wrong with trying to be free and trying to be ones to stand out.
You can send it to me.
But at the same time, at the same time, you still need to have some standards for yourself. Like, still need to prove from your. I'm not sure how to even say this. Okay, you need to, in order to be free, you still need to go through this rebellious phase in order to stand out. Because yes, you might actually get rejected from society, but hey, it's. I seriously don't even know what else I'm even talking about aside just from Friedrich Nietzsche. Damn it.
Wolf, I want to let you know in our fashion shows, there were a lot of men in the audience. I just want to put that out there. They were there. We had quite a bit of men in that audience. They were there, and they did not give insult.
Oh, I'm sure.
No, they were there. I modeled. Let's see. Now, when you did, I did casual, evening, lingerie, and beachwear. So there's 4 different categories. Because it also was to educate. She wanted to show if you are plus size, this would look right on your body. This is what flatter you on your body. This is what you wear on your body. This is how. She said to me, "You want to give a neat appearance." So nobody ever really looked bad, when we were out there. But now, like Eloise said, for the audience, we don't want sloppy. And I think that's why there's such a back push to the body positivity.
Now I know exactly what I'm talking about with Friedrich Nietzsche. It's exactly on this video. On finding yourself. In other words, existentialism, really. So, this is what you would need to embrace when actually learning about yourself. Actually, Carl Jung actually talked about this because because whenever you would be learning more about yourself, that'd be what would be your what is yourself? Because you would act more differently than how you are from basically with your work than you are behind whatever you are alone behind closed doors. Like say, if you would be working at like some sort of dance club, whenever you're going to be with a group of people dancing, what are the expectations that you would have to do? What are the expectations placed on that? You'd have to be energetic. You'd have to be more exciting. You have to be so much full of you have to be so much full of energy. You have to be more outgoing with this. So that'd be the mask that you wear. But what is one thing that you would always have to face in your life? What you always have to face regardless? Your shadow. Persona actually talks about a lot with this on knowing about yourself. Persona 4 describes that completely. Persona 5 even with its villains, where the shadow is always a perverted version of yourself, and even left unchecked, or even try even like bottling it up before it rears its ugly head, or just even repressing it, that will consume you eventually. And Professor
Are you
Geek even talked about.
saying
Hmm?
that one could get consumed into the wrong audience?
If the, being
Oh,
consumed by their shadow, yeah.
there's a specific name to it though.
Mm,
Audience creep. I forgot what. Hold on, let me look for it.
mm. But yeah, this is
Um.
what you always need to look out for with this. In order to actually gain this freedom, knowing of yourself and having this individuality, or becoming the Ubermensch that Nietzsche coined the term of, the Ubermensch being the superhuman, the Superman, really, you would still need to go through this rebellious phase by leaving this herd mentality, because they're afraid of society. They're afraid of whatever society would ever place on them, fear of being rejected.
Well, that plays into now when you're talking about knowing this topic of knowing your audience, because the writers now
Oh,
do
it's
not
called
know.
audience capture.
Well,
Hmm.
let's give for example, if I may.
Hold up. Could I explain it? Sorry to interrupt. All right,
No,
so
go ahead.
the concept of audience capture is that rather than you retaining your own distinction from the audience, you become subsumed by the most extreme element of your audience. So just as you may put yourself out there and gain a following, and you may influence people, the people that follow you can influence you, and sometimes you might lose whatever it was that made you unique in the first place, because you have a lot of people following you and you listen to them too much that essentially you don't retain your own opinions, your own thought patterns. Like,
You're motivated by the crowd that you drew in.
yeah, rather than you being motivated by your own thought processes. The crowd is what fuels you, and you're not fueled by your own ideas anymore. It's
Well,
similar to
see,
how when you have, authors that create things, and then eventually the fans begin to suggest a whole bunch of things, and then changes are made to it to appease the fans, and um, because a lot of those fans, some of them might not actually know how the story, like the original source material, then you change like stuff to like appease them. Essentially, it's like getting your hand pulled in a different direction than you were going to go, simply because you're afraid of upsetting your audience. So essentially, you shouldn't, like, yes, you should care that you have an audience, and be be grateful that you have an audience, but they shouldn't be the ones writing your story. You should be writing your story yourself.
Hmm.
we're
Yes.
If
seeing
any,
events.
A
if any
similar.
indie game publishers might actually learn that, looking at you, hello neighbor.
I mean,
Finish.
of course, it's important not to treat fans as, terribly, but I think a true fan would understand that, um, especially if it makes sense, why a story would go in that direction. Now, if you try and subvert expectations and you alter the direction simply because you don't want fans to know, like fans are really into something and then they figure out how the story is going to end, you shouldn't really alter it because you want to outsmart your fans.
Yeah, because this is what a lot of indie games actually kind of suffer from. Like, whenever an indie game goes pretty popular, of course, there are going to be some theories on this. Matthew Patrick, the game theorist, or film theory, whenever he would be on, usually game theory. But yet the theory would be involved, and yet someone would follow this exact theory and thinking this might be what it might be, what the story, how this will go, only then to get expectations subverted a lot later, only to be something else.
When you bring that up, Eloise, and you find out, it makes me think about oh man, not that Christopher Nolan. Christopher Nolan's a good director, but I think sometimes he's a victim of his own success. He's a good writer, of course, Inception and other films. But I think sometimes he gets into this rut of he wants to prove he's one step ahead of the audience or he's smarter than the audience. And so instead of you enjoying the story, he's playing a game with you, like try to figure out how I'm going to do this or what the character is going to do or going to do next or which way this will go. And that kills the story. And that's sometimes his Achilles heel. And that happened with the last movie he did. What was the last movie? What was that film he did? I forgot the name. But Robert Pattinson was in it. Or something.
Still gotta keep this within the mind of people who want to learn how to generate an audience.
Well, like Eloise just described, for example, you don't. She just said it. She just said it. There's that you don't, when you're writing for your audience, don't underestimate your audience, and don't try to outsmart them. Don't try to prove you're such a clever, witty writer that you're going to take the story in a direction they didn't expect if it doesn't make sense. And that's why I was bringing up Christopher Nolan, because he falls into that trap sometimes.
And
Well, no, the thing is,
not only that, but don't remind yourself that what your original intent is. Don't let the audience feel your intent as well, because the whole reason why an audience is drawn to you is because you have your own intent. Like, yeah, sure, people can share things in common with their intentions, but at the end of the day, like, every person does things in a different way. So remember your original intent.
Yeah,
Don't
like
don't let the audience's intent become your intent.
speaking
Because
when you're aspiring creator or of any caliber, you gotta take in consideration as well that when you're creating and building things, you don't think of yourself as this famous celebrity yet when you
yeah,
don't have
your
an audience.
humility is also an important element
Hey,
to the creative.
humility, the virtue as it corresponds to the sin of pride.
can you guys give examples of that?
Mm.
Do you know a writer or, and when I mean writing, whether it be for TV show, film, book, comic book, a video game, do you have any examples of what Eloise is talking about?
Mm.
Like if I had to name a writer, I felt like I've read everything by Anne Rice, all her books, because she is a good storyteller, and she gives you the eyes of the world through her characters, and mostly through the way the vampire world she created is the character. It's like her way of looking at the world through these characters, which is why I've read all of her novels and why I love the adventure stories with Lestat, because she just didn't sit down and just write this. Well, this the evil vampire, and this is what he does, and to hurt people, and the villagers have to come out and destroy him, and he's dead at the end of the novel. That's not what she does. She makes it more complex, but in a way, I do get it. I like the fact that she went ahead and said, I'm going to do a vampire story, but this time the vampires are going to do the talking. I'm not going to let all the humans talk. I'm going to let the vampires do the talking. So you don't get the same tropes that you've gotten, like, say, with Bram Stoker or novels people are used to. One of the complaints I would hear from people who never got her books were, I don't get it. I don't understand it. It's the same. It's not what I'm used to. I mean, where's the guy come in at the end and stick somebody through the heart? They're used to that. Whereas she went something in a totally different direction, in which you start to
So in the vampire's
humanize.
perspective.
Yes, and it made them human. She humanized them, and that's why they became so beloved. And that's what, because she was a masterful storyteller. It wasn't always about. She wasn't Stephen King. I'm not putting Stephen King down, but to her, it wasn't like to write it to frighten you. She was almost telling a story of people, except they're immortal and they're vampires. And I got that, which is why I loved everything she ever wrote in her Vampire Chronicles. So that's one example I would take. Never once did I felt like, as I read each of her books, that she was taking us for granted as the audience, or thinking she was one step ahead of us, or proving that she was smarter than us. I never got that when I read her characters. So with Lestat, who I would call sort of an anti-hero vampire, a lot of people said when they first read it, they said, well, who's the good guy and the bad guy? I said, you know what? There really isn't any. She blurs the line a little bit with her characters. And a lot of people can't do that, but she found a way to do it so as he's not really good or bad. It's more like the choices that he makes. And that's what makes it such a good read. And that's what made it stood out. That's why they became so popular. It stood out, is because she reinvented that genre and didn't just stick straight to the rules as everybody else does. So that's what I could think of an example. Now, if you guys have something else of an example, you can throw it out there. But that's the only thing that popped into my head as far as an audience. But as a fan, that's what I took from it, which is why the books were so, I think that's why they were so popular sellers, and why it's hard to interpret it into film, because Hollywood doesn't get it, because they try to take it and break it down to, well, we have to make one vampire the good guy, one vampire the bad guy. And it's
Humble Marty put it into words. Sorry to interrupt, Leia.
Oh, go ahead.
She said, confidence, the faith in yourself instead of hanging on the validator's approval.
Damn straight.
And see, the writers today want validation, as Wolf has brought out. A lot of them want to be validated. That's basically what they're looking for.
One of the.
I guess that could also explain like why they go with the whole check marks and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Like the whole check boxes where they add this or that which is being promoted or held up as something that would immediately make a story get attention, simply because the media, the crowd, and simply because the media promotes that stuff because they have an agenda. Like they want to promote things with specific things, so that's why they go with the whole buzzword thing, diversity, this and that. And they
Well, they think
don't
they're gonna
really,
pull in audience that way too.
yeah, but
They think the
it's
audience is
also,
built into the ideology.
yeah, but not only that, but it's because it's heavily pushed for, like, in our society currently, where they abandon internal consistencies. They throw consistency out the window in favor of just having a mix of things.
Mm-hmm, just by
That
shoving a lot of
would-
things just straight down your throat, which the MCU just pretty much had just been doing just by getting things a lot out. Like, usually we would have to, like, 2 or 3 movies a year for a Marvel Cinematic Universe film, but then nowadays, since after
They're doing the
Phase 3,
TV show thing.
Yeah, they just like keep doing that. They would do a show, then a movie every single year, which would normally be at least 5 or 4. But they would just like keep rushing to like do this, do this, do this. Let's get some stuff out there. There's this keep shoving down your throat. But then just now have like a little piece for like a larger hole instead of like a whole package. I was like, okay, yeah, I'm out. Um, there's even like but in terms like of a YouTube channel that I was about to bring up when talking about this, like it comes from a place of boredom, really, where we're just not interested of some of the stuff anymore that I used to watch. I used to be a fan of that channel called Team Edge. They produced challenge videos and board game videos back in 2015, so at least 7 or 6 years ago. Um, it was consisted of Matthias and J. Fred, Matthias's brother. They were just like having fun. Who would ever just win, and whoever would spin the wheel of misfortune over their punishment, as to whoever would do the outro. But then somewhere around season 2, they were still getting more and more views. They would usually get around mostly like some 10 million views. 10 million views, as that channel was pretty big in views, as it was a lot of fun. But yet somewhere when season 3 came around, when Matthias suddenly started leaving, but then was then in place for Bobby, who is Brian and Matthias's cousin. They were still getting consistent views, which is somewhere around like at least 6 million at very least. But then somewhere as time went on, they could barely reach 1 million views now, and it's pretty sad now because like their old intro is now gone. They just now take more challenges on a much grander scale now, not because mainly because they were just like trying to be like what's the word I'm trying to look for, like they're trying to stick with, like more so with YouTube algorithms, like with more modern YouTube audiences, because like the YouTube algorithm expects like people watch videos and expect to watch the whole thing and that'd be that. But yet kind of this which kind of sounds a bit apathetic the more you think about it. Like everyone would just shut up and just watch it. Which, yeah, that sounds very apathetic. Which Team Edge would even like expect
Well,
like to bring back.
since you brought up YouTube, how about like on YouTube itself, like the one strategy that I've seen talked about to garner a YouTube audience is figuring out what the YouTube persona, what the okay, so in your mind you create a YouTube persona. Essentially you imagine, well, no, a viewer avatar. That's what it's called. You imagine what the audience wants and you try and figure out what would be the most likely thing that would appeal to that audience. So it sort of involves figuring out what you, as someone who uses YouTube, would want to see, and if that correlates with the viewer avatar, then you try and title and create your videos accordingly.
Mhm.
And
I mean, that's exactly what.
but it's also important to balance it out with being authentic. And I know people, like for example, in internet impact mentioned that authenticity seems to be less valued nowadays, which is kind of sad.
Mhm.
Where people pretend to be something nowadays rather than actually being that thing. But at least in YouTube's case, for YouTube, the audience can actually tell when you're not being authentic, because it seems highly polished or it seems highly forced rather than it coming natural.
Yeah, Team Edge actually did something like this. Like whenever they would do like challenge videos, like the color food challenge with where Bobby would just now succeeding at like it's nothing, and yet Brian is just suddenly just struggling because the food that he had was basically all blue, so it's nothing but a bunch of sugar, and he's more of a protein kind of guy, and he's a total wuss when it comes to food. But everything there's actually the setup that they set up in their kitchen where everything is just all red and blue themed, or no, not red and blue theme, orange and blue, both for Bobby and Brian when they were doing the challenge. J. Fred was the host of that challenge, and yet their environment is that suddenly different when the cameras are turned off, but yet suddenly it's exactly what you would expect from watching it when the cameras are now suddenly turned on. So it's basically what suddenly so different whenever it's behind closed doors. Because Team Edge, they would just always like put up with this type of YouTube, like you said, this YouTube type of persona with their videos, but yet still try to be at least more authentic, like still bantering, even though they still try to banter with each other a lot of them would be cheating a lot, like Brian or J. Fred or Kevin is Brian's brother. They would normally always be the first ones to cheat a lot. Brian would mostly do this just for the sake of trying to be awesome, quote unquote awesome, or just trying to show off. Um, but then they were just it just already becomes so boring to watch with Team Edge just now. Whatever there's just gonna be doing that because they just barely would reach 1 million views now.
When you bring up, you guys both make great points, but if I may, you bring up, final, you talked about the MCU, and I think this goes along with the topic about knowing your audience. In this current stage where they're at right now, in this current regime, now they do not know the audience, because one reason they hate the audience and they don't respect the audience. I'll give you an example very briefly, is the situation with She-Hulk right now, which I'm not watching and I have no intention to watch. But what I've heard from various people and various reviewers is that the writing is pure garbage on that show, because the people who are writing for that show have no experience in writing. They never read the comics, so they don't know the character. Their only mission was to basically put out some sort of feminist agenda. And you guys know what that female agenda, what ideology is. That was it. But they said,
Yeah,
I've never read it.
People of color,
Yeah.
even if they're minority, people of color, even if they're minority, good people. Unless if they're a white man, Satan. Or in the case of Marvel, Mephisto. In the case of Marvel, Mephisto, because Mephisto's literally the devil.
Yeah. Exactly.
Such wasted potential that he's not on WandaVision. That would have been a great opportunity that he would have been. Like, Wanda would still like made a deal with Mephisto just for the sake of trying to get Vision back, so then suddenly they would have children, but nope.
WandaVision was like you said, WandaVision's concept was a good concept. I actually watched the first three episodes because they had a good idea. I like the idea that she took over this town, but she communicated through the television and through
They
the
will
characters.
never know what you sacrificed.
Oh God!
Sacrifice what? for a family that doesn't exist? Like, this actually brought me the idea how this would go down. Of course, the basic setup. Wanda goes to this hometown village, and yet turns it into a TV, and yet suddenly makes everyone, the inhabitants of this town, a part of this show. But yet suddenly, Shield just suddenly discovers about this, where people are they might be happy on this show that they're suddenly on, but on the inside they're actually suffering. They can't drink, they can't eat, and yet suddenly they try to go there to check it out. But suddenly, the people of this village are now seeing the cracks, because now all of it is falling apart from this little house play that Wanda set up, and yet suddenly, even the projected versions of Vision, especially her two children, are now suddenly seeing that they're not actually real, and now Wanda is now suddenly having a meltdown. And who else to turn to? Then Mephisto. And right there, even though it kind of would be a bit of a sucker ending,
We never
but at
said hi
least
to
that
the
might
chat.
We
Neo
did.
Stars.
We did.
We
did.
did.
We did. Humble Marty and Silva were there.
Oh.
But
Neostar just
but hey,
popped
Neostar.
in.
But then suddenly, who else to turn to when to make her reality a thing? She turns to Mephisto, and this, it would have been a sucker ending, but this would have been like the perfect cliffhanger to actually set up Doctor Strange: The Multiverse of Madness, and this is when Doctor Strange would come in.
Yeah, I agree. Well, see, the original idea, the original concept before it got hijacked by the woke nuts was Doctor Strange was communicating through her, sending her messages through the commercials. If you watch, for those of you who watch WandaVision, there would be these commercials, and Doctor Strange would be trying to communicate through her through that to try to get to her, to get to her, to basically tell her what she's doing was wrong. He was supposed to have a big part in that, like you said, final. Yeah, but that story wise would have made more sense than the garbage that they did. You can tell that the writing and the talent wasn't there, because bringing him in like that when everything starts to fall to pieces would have been, like you said.
I fall to
This
pieces.
is just we get a great concept. Doctor Strange is gonna be like, nope, we're gonna have like this. We're gonna have Wanda now suddenly be the hero of the story, but now suddenly now portrayed as this tragic hero in the next movie, which you better have watched for the context of the movie.
See a lot of we'll see we'll see Doctor Strange.
You know, I just
What-
realized that the whole TV show thing, it kind of reminds me how in with comics they do one tie-in to the next tie-in to the next crossover to the next crisis.
You're right. Yeah, just thinking about
They're
it, you're
repeating
right.
like-
the same things they're doing in the comics. They're doing with the comics. They're like,
No, they're
fight.
not doing the same thing that they're doing in the comics. It's more like they're doing
You
like
sure
the
about
same
that?
the same strategies that they use to like interconnect the comics.
Mm-hmm.
Because if it was the same thing as the comics, then it would suck even more. And that's
Mm-hmm.
kind of the conflict that the woke Marvel creators for the comics,
No
like
tears, please.
that
It's a
they
waste of good suffering.
like that's the thing that they got it up in arms and in conflict with the people in charge of the films, because the people in charge of the films have their own ideas of what they want done, and they don't copy the comics. They don't follow the comics at all, and that's why a lot of those creators are upset, because since the people that are in charge of the films don't follow what the the comics creator want done, then the comic creator doesn't receive any royalties or anything. So they're essentially they feel unrecognized. So that's why there was a whole conflict between them. That's what I remember hearing, that they
well, the
like
thing is,
there was a crew, like damn it, what's it called again? Advisory. Like there was an advisory board put together of the comics creators who worked on the comics in order to like help the movie people, but that advisory thing was disbanded.
yeah, so they can let the woke people come in and tear the story apart. Because
No,
the
no,
thing
no,
is,
no, 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 no. This was Marvel at its worst. Where when the Marvel comics were at its worst, then they decided to put together that board, that advisory board for the movies, which was composed of all the bad comic writers. And because those people they got possessive of trying to have it their way, trying to tell the movie people how to run it all. Never mind the fact that they were terrible at like selling comics and things like that. Because of that, like the group, the advisory group, was disbanded. Keep in mind, the comic writers that it was composed of, they were the woke people that made the turn the comics woke. So I mean,
Sorry.
just imagine it could have been what you're seeing right now. It's not even the full scale of how bad the state of the comics are. That's being reflected right now in the films or whatever that's being created right now. That being said, it's still all bad all around.
the right. I'm sorry, I'm laughing at Humble Marty, bouncy booty, twerky, dancy. Good humble. The writers for Marvel writing now, to me, are not writers. They are activists. They don't. The audience. They're not writing to entertain the audience. They're writing to insult them because they hate them. That's why
Yep.
all of these movies in Phase 4 suck big time, because there is no story. There is no character development. It's just, we're here. They don't. The audience who goes to watch this stuff is not realizing they're insulting you. They are. That's exactly what they are doing. There is no concept. There is no story development. There's no character development. It's strictly, we hate you, and we're going to use these characters to show it. And they're letting in the writers at She-Hulk clearly stated, we don't know what we're doing. We don't know this character, but you know what? We want to get the women power out there. We want to get the women power out there, and that's all that matters. That's why I don't know how
It
anyone
matters to
can
them
enjoy
because
that
they're
show.
just mad at the frickin' world. And
Yeah,
it's this very
We're missing the
nihilistic, don't you
concept here,
think?
guys. They're trying to market to an audience that don't exist.
Yep.
Exactly. That's literally
The, the,
1% of
let me tell
people,
you the
right?
audience that they think that they're trying to market to when it comes to my diversity stuff. Them, as far as for the She-Hulk thing and all the other women focused stories, they're trying to focus on the women that sit on their ass and eat ice cream and cry their feelings out every day. Once somebody tells them how to do their job or something like that. Anything that some man had the gall to tell them something, that audience is not there because they're sitting on their asses watching Real Housewives of whatever
there
city
you
or
go.
whatever
Yeah.
state. They're trying to attract that crowd too. They're trying to attract the crowd that was the Sex and the City and L Word crowd. That audience is long gone. They pretty much killed Sex and the City with its sequel series.
Yes,
They,
I agree with
they
you.
pretty much killed that, so that crowd's dead and buried. As far as the diversity, they're looking to save minorities with their woke nonsense. Basically, just throwing Megan the Stallion to attract the hip
Yes.
people. I mean, Grant, we've always had these practices years ago. We've always had practices where you notice that in the '90s shows and some of the '90s movies, you'll have this one black character that served their purpose as being the hip type of black character that's supposed to attract the black people to it.
Yeah.
Make no mistake about that. We've always had marketing employees to rope in the black audience.
Yeah.
But here's the thing about that marketing though. That marketing may not have pulled the crowd that they wanted, but damn it, the character was a character. Make no mistake about that. Whatever character or whatever caricature or archetype or stereotype that they throw in there, that character was a character. Think about it like this. What's a good example of a show that threw in a diversity hire but did it right though?
Diversity hire and did it right.
Let's go with
Um.
Martin, the series Martin. They had a few white caricatures in there, like Sean
Mm-hmm.
or or some other guy, but they always poke fun at the white characters, but the white characters came in, but and they were always their own character. Or what about that white girl named Moesha, or at least one random white girl named Moesha that was a white best friend,
Or the
or even
Parkers.
Kim,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
Kim's friend, the Parkers,
Mm-hmm.
like that girl, or that white best friend in this one movie that most of y'all probably don't even know, and Annie B. Real. You know what I'm saying? They were still
Mm-hmm.
characters though. They weren't really They weren't really. They were far beyond just a stereotype or an archetype. You can have the privilege of calling them as such, but But whenever I look back at them, they were their own characters. Surge was a gay character. He was there to serve his purpose as being a gay character, but Surge had his personality and his mannerisms and his aspirations. When Axel when Axel meets him, they had a good, genuine, good conversation. There's never no question about who he's fucking. You know,
True.
they he was Axel was there to meet an old friend, and that was the whole part of the plot right there. He was there to meet an old friend who happens to be an art dealer too. Surge is the art dealer. Surge has his own charm and wit and cool talk, you know, and they have a brief conversation. Even Surge notices that Axel is eyeing an art piece, and he says, "I see you're noticing that." He's like, "Yeah, well, how's that right?" He gives him the number, and he's like, "Get the fuck out of here! No, I can't." You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Already they're becoming friends. Like in the sequel of Bear Hills Cop, Surge comes back again. Hell, dare I say it, that one character in the second Rush Hour, the guy who sells the clothes, he's a direct I would say he'll be a direct reference to Surge from sorry from Beverly Hills Cop.
Hmm.
So you get what I'm saying here. It's like
Yeah, I'm following
when you compare to old school marketing versus new school marketing. First of all, new school marketing ain't marketing. New school marketing is brainwashing. They're attempting to brainwash you. Old school marketing is just there to attract you to the product. They're already a company right there. I mean, think about the amount of money they spend for a commercial for promoting stuff, and you got somebody standing there, and when you look at that, where your eye draw to it, and what does your mind say when your eye draws to it? Like, say for instance, you got a black person eating ice cream. What are you looking at mostly? The black person eating the ice cream or the ice cream itself? Or when you look at a woman eat chocolate, you looking at the chocolate product or are you looking at the woman? Say for instance, a male selling computers and you stand by a computer and present the computer. Are you looking at the man or are you looking at the computer? What catches your eye? That's how you rope the audience in too. Like that's one thing you gotta remember as creators. You gotta build a product that's gonna catch the eye too. You ever hear that phrase? You have my interest. You have my interest. Now you have my attention.
you. Yeah. Oh,
Like that's something you guys always as us future aspiring creators or anybody who's just there to make a moderate success or a moderate amount of book, you gotta remember to always think about like this. You gotta think about attraction, the rules of attraction. So I've been trying to school Final about how to get a girlfriend,
oh.
how you market yourself, in other words, how you sell yourself, how you sell your product, but more importantly, how do you sell yourself? Are you going to sell your inadequacies, or are you going to sell the best qualities of your person? Are you going to sell how small of a dick you have, or are you going to sell how big your pecs is? What is the one thing that you draw attention to about yourself the most? Your pimples or your intellect, or your ability to problem solve? Because all those qualities that people might frown upon will disappear if you focus on the better qualities of yourself. We can always say don't judge a book by its cover, but the thing is, that's the unrealistic expectation that everybody have about the world. The world will always judge you, always. You gotta prove the world wrong though by knowing yourself. You gotta know yourself first too, especially when you get out here. You gotta know yourself. Here's the thing. Let me ask everybody this: when you want to get okay, final, since you're writing a book and you've been writing Light and Darkness,
Yes,
what audience did you have in mind when writing this book?
it's a fantasy audience, a teen audience.
Hmm. So the fantasy audience will be roped into your world. The teen audience will follow because the fantasy audience are talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
So you'll be getting both of those on that front. Or Leia, are you outside?
No. I told you my fan is on.
You got that on rotisserie, don't you?
Yes, to get the room cool.
Yeah.
Is it bothering you? If it's bothering you, I'll have it stopped. But I was trying to get the room cool.
I'm
We were
like,
wondering where
dang.
that
I'm looking
wind
at
was
Leia's
blowing.
icon just vibrating. I'm like, oh my goodness, is she? Did she have stepped outside just now
Mm-mm.
to get some air?
It shouldn't be
Eloise,
vibrating.
Yeah, I thought it was coming from Eloise, but her mic's muted.
no, I'm
What
looking at the screen
happened?
right now. But Eloise,
Uh-huh.
My icon is it still vibrating?
it's fine. But
Maybe
I'm
it's just
asking
fine.
Eloise real quick. Now
Okay.
shut up now. I'm asking Eloise. Eloise, you're writing a new. You have an idea for a book. What kind of audience are you hoping to attract with this book that you're writing or this story that you're creating?
Well, that's a good question. I want to attract the people who are interested in fantasy, like low fantasy, like that. Well, it starts off as low fantasy and it goes into, like portal fantasy. It's a because it's the magical world existing separately from the regular world, so it's a portal fantasy type of setting. And I want to attract people who are interested in that sort of setting.
Where you going to do that?
It's only responding to Neil Starr's comment.
I think the professor made a comment about that in his stream about something like he said something like that.
About what? Wolf doing the
No, he
loot
said
thing.
he saw an anime where he said I had to go and play, but he said he saw an anime of some kind and
Oh
can't
yeah,
see the
High
focus
School of
on
the
the girl.
Dead. He saw
Yeah,
that.
yeah. The girls.
Did he dislike that?
He disliked it. Yes.
Oh
Yeah.
man. So he doesn't have a funny bone in his body.
Yeah, he does. Have you seen his Koto streams? Like
I know,
he
but
tells
like
Blindfolded?
bad jokes.
like High School of the Dead is comical in the way it handles.
He just doesn't like the vulgarity. By the way, we have the Hound of the South, Dominic Powell, late as usual, but he's always ready to roll.
Oh wait, he's that way. Hey Dom,
Well,
how
good
you
evening,
doing?
everybody.
Hello,
Oh,
Dominic.
I'm doing well. Just relaxing after a long day of watercoloring.
Ah,
Watercoloring.
Yeah, it's for the summer class.
Oh, that sounds.
Oh. Wait, is it like water paint or something?
Yep.
Okay, that's why.
That sounds nice. I bet it's very relaxing.
It is. It's also adventurous because I'm still practicing and improving on my coloring because a majority of my artworks are in black and white.
Oh, I bet that'll be very nice. It's very creative.
Yeah, I've added color in my works like every now and then. Then yeah, always in the back of my head, and I tell myself, "Oh, it's it's there. Like I'm getting there, but I know that I can improve."
That's good. That's good. That helps your brain power creatively wise by taking on something like that. I think that's cool. It helps. It keeps the brain power going. You know, I'm always looking for ways to be creative myself in my own way. But that's good to know. To improve yourself, and watercolor is a good way to do it. And it's good for the brain. Keeps your brain on
Indeed,
target.
indeed it is.
But I saw the book you were reading. Another big, colorful book there.
Yes, sorry, my mic was muted.
That's okay. I just caught you when your camera went on.
Yeah,
You're reading.
because Wolf is already doing his traditional thing as always, just teasing with a bunch of the guys, and especially with
Hey, I was cheering up Neil Starr, damn it.
you know how you are, especially with you know what.
You dirty rat, you kill my brother,
But,
you dirty rat. Woohoo!
It's the final reading hour. Okay.
yeah.
It must be a very big, colorful book there.
Oh, absolutely. I actually been looking for stories by this character since I was actually so into this type of character since I was in middle school because I played I've actually seen some watch Lupin Ranger versus Pato Ranger. No, I played Persona 5 first and then watched Lupin Ranger versus Pato Ranger and was obsessed with a lot of tricksters, specifically tricksters on show the face cam on this character, Arsène Lupin by Maurice Leblanc. Basically, Arsène Lupin's character is that he is a gentleman thief. So pretty much the would be recontextualized as a phantom thief since he was a bit more popular. A lot of you might be familiar with him thanks to Lupin the Third, who's actually his great grandson. But Arsène Lupin himself is completely unrelated to that. So he is a gentleman thief who, despite being on the other side of the law, he does help law-abiding citizens and only steals from other criminals who are worse than he is. But he doesn't steal from the rich to give to the poor. He's not much of a Robin Hood type of character, but he's more so of a bit of I wish I want to say socialist because he's based on an actual socialist in real life, but he sticks it more so to the man really and punishes those who abuse their own freedoms. So basically, and he would be in it for himself, and he's motivated by the thrill of the heist and the confusion of his pursuers, and he does like to put up a challenge for himself. In fact, he has gone toe to toe with Sherlock Holmes a lot, and I mean a lot.
That sounds interesting. Is that what happens in that story?
Well, pretty much,
Reading?
because there's a lot of because this book details a lot of the adventures of Arsène Lupin, such as the time where he's actually got arrested, but yet suddenly he would start planning his own escape, his elaborate escape, but yet using manipulation, but also master of disguise, because he's also a master of disguise too, as he is also a trickster. Um, and especially including his adventures when crossing paths with Sherlock Holmes, especially with his partner Dr. Watson.
That sounds interesting. Him coming in contact with
Kind of
Sherlock Holmes. That should be fun.
with tonight's stream.
Mhm. Huh?
Should have used this thumbnail.
Oh, you feel like the thumbnail just did. Oh,
I
boy.
should have went with this thumbnail. Something told me I should have went with this thumbnail. Something told me I was like maybe I should go with this one. See if it'll attract a lot of people. I should have went with this thumbnail.
Oh,
I'm gonna leave it up there so I can wallow in my regret.
Well, you made Neil Star happy.
That was earlier.
Oh, I thought it was just pictures you just put up. I was thinking about I was thinking about what you were saying a few minutes ago when you were making your speech, and you talked about don't judge a book by its cover, and how you're judged and how you want people to see who you are. I was thinking about the example, and I have to go back to Captain America: The First Avenger. And when Steve goes into the army, and when Peggy Carter meets him, we all know he hasn't taken the serum yet, so he's very skinny and short and just a skinny, weak little thing, and just nothing about him is Hollywood romantic at all. The uniform doesn't fit. But you have to look at how Peggy Carter sees him, and how she's looking at him and see him. Nothing about him is heroic at that time. But she already sees that there's just something about this guy that is sweet and that is kind and that is heroic, even though he physically does not meet what a hero is supposed to be. And that's because of what Wolf just said. Rogers always puts his best self forward. Even when he was skinny and getting beat up, he still would always put the best part of himself forward.
Yeah, even when he joined the Super Soldier program, it wasn't a desire to actually just try to be more. It was trying to be something better. Why?
He didn't go in there wanted to be a super soldier.
Yeah,
he
because
went in there to serve his country.
Yeah,
exactly. He wanted to fight in the war because that's what he wanted to do, but to be something better.
Yeah, he didn't go into it to get a date. That wasn't him. It wasn't. He
Either.
didn't go to it either. Like maybe she'll like me even more with the muscles. That was not his intention. His intention was exactly what Wolf
That's
just
Peter
said.
Parker's game.
Yeah, that was what Peter Parker did. And that doesn't, Peter Parker is still likable, but I'm just saying what the difference between the two of them are. And then why some people don't get it, because some people like, well, that's why
even when he got beat down when he was at the theater, when someone was
Mhm.
being ruined in the theater saying, "Hey, will you shut up?" But then ultimately he got himself in a fight, and yet he was getting his ass kicked at that fight. And he was like, had enough? I could do this all day.
Yeah, yeah. I agree. Even though, like you said, he was getting a beat down of his life, and just I was in the theater going, "Oh man, just beating this poor little thing up."
This
He's-
dude's scrawny, but he ain't going out without a fight.
Exactly. He's going up. That is what makes it, and that's what we love about him. That despite getting a beat down, he still tries everything he can to put his best self forward. And that is, and when Wolf mentioned that about yourself, that's what an aspirational hero is supposed to do. That's a lesson that you learn is despite your imperfections, you have to shine your best self forward. What is it about you that makes you shine? So when he gets to the army and Peggy Carter sees him, she starts to see what's really best about him, despite the fact that physically he's not what I'm used to seeing. I'm used to seeing these strong, muscle-bound soldiers, and here is this old scrawny little thing. But he is, like you said, he's putting his best self forward. He's doing it for his fellow man. And that's what makes him attractive. That is what makes him a beautiful person. That's what makes him heroic. And people miss that. I don't say people, but certain people who have complaints about him miss that. They say, well, he's perfect. He doesn't make mistakes. He does the right thing. I would have been like Peter Parker, and I would have did that to
Done
get
the
the
right
part.
thing too,
Yes. Yeah.
motherfucker. What the
Yes.
fuck you think Peter Parker is?
Yes. He does the right thing as well. But they're forgetting that Rogers just didn't sit back and complain about the other soldiers that were beating him up and making fun of him and stronger than he was. He thought about what was good about himself. And that is what made him attractive. And that is what Wolf just said, eloquently just said a few minutes ago, that he didn't focus on, okay, I'm not super strong, but there are qualities about me that make me valuable to serve my country. They make me
He didn't even know
valuable
what he
as
was
a
doing,
soldier.
going up in there. He just went in there with what he had too. It's not like he was going in there thinking he's got to be strong. He knows he's got to train his hardest to qualify. If nothing else, they let him through too.
Mhm.
They let him through, and he had to go through the whole boot camp process. And still, it's like it was taxing on his body.
Yes.
But the thing is, he kept persevering. Yeah, you could say he lucked in with the super soldier program when he was selected. Of course, when he throws his body on the grenade.
Mm-hmm.
But that ain't just not luck. It's just the fact that there's a quality that they're seeing in him that he knows of himself about. But the thing is that that's something he's going to display automatically. That's something that comes natural to him. He's a farm. He he's a Boy Scout. Boy Scouts do whatever they can to get the job done, and they put their life on the line to get it done. Even if it means tossing your body onto a grenade.
And saving people that that picked on you or made fun of you, or don't even know, but you're going to risk your life to save their lives. You know,
Right?
it goes like that. And then also, that experiment could have killed him, but he, like you said, he persevered through it. It could have killed him, but he persevered on through it. And that's what makes him heroic. He's not, of the Avengers, he's not godlike like Thor. He's nowhere near that. He doesn't have the intelligence of Dr. Banner, nor does he have the strength of Hulk. And he's nowhere near the intelligence of Tony Stark. He's nowhere near that. But he has that, like you said, that strong will and that heart about himself. and that's what makes them stand out. And that's what Wolf, what you just explained, is what I think people are missing. That these writers are missing. Go back to what you were saying, the women that are writing for She-Hulk. These are women that are sitting at home feeling sorry for themselves, or realize, why you
Learn
go do
about a
that?
man.
I knew it. I knew it. I
Like,
knew since we're gonna talk about Captain America, I
Hey,
knew that
woman.
was gonna come up.
Hey, woman. Hey, woman.
I was trying to make a point. They're sitting at home.
Every time we make a point on
Yes.
Steve Rogers, every single time, this always comes up.
Hey, it's
Every
traditional.
freaking time.
Final, I was thinking about that when I brought it up, but I just thought, well, he won't go there. He won't.
I know him
won't.
well. You know how he's gonna do it because I know him well. I've been
Yeah,
on
I'll
the
be
show
used to
for
it by
quite some
now.
time now.
Quite some time. You've been here for most of the year, man, and the year before that.
I know. Because I shouldn't. Or I know you already with this stuff that you do.
He had to throw that in there. Well, it goes back to these writers. Wolf just said it. They're sitting at home feeling sorry for themselves because they didn't marry Prince Charming. They feel like the man is they want the lives of, like you just said, they want to be Desperate Housewives. They want to be the Real Hives of the 50 states of America. They want to be something on TikTok. They want a glamorous.
You're dirt. You make
Like-
me sick, you little baby. Wait, no, that's not good.
Get
You're
out while you,
dirt.
get
You
out
make
while
me
you
sick,
can.
you little baby. Baby want a bottle? Baby want a dirt bottle?
Get out while you can. Don't get a sucker no
You
statue.
know what they
Give
want?
'em guts.
They want to live the life of luxury without actually working for it, and they're
Exactly.
envious of the people who inherited a life of standing. That the reason people have luxuries is because they learn to manage the stuff that they have, and if they can't manage that stuff that they have, that's a quick way to poverty. So like they don't even appreciate the fact they're able to at least retain some, form of living that isn't misery. So they're envious of people above them, and at the same time think themselves better than the people below them. So that's why they turn to the. That's why they have this dichotomy of
Inferiority
no.
complex.
It's what, yeah, but they also have this dichotomy of feeling that they are the ones standing up for the little guy while simultaneously envying and wanting after what the people above them have.
This apathetic attitude?
Well, just like when she does that stupid eye roll, irritating speech about how she feels she has anger better than Bruce because she feels
She
incompetent.
can manage it better than him.
Yeah, she can manage it better than him. And then she
Sounds
talks
like you're
about
airing out your. Sounds like you're airing out your insecurities. You ain't got no anger management, bitch.
that's what it sounds like. What I said too. I said you got some hang-ups, honey. That's what I said. You got some hang-ups. And then she said getting catcalled. And I said, darling, I think
I'm pretty sure her character, like,
wish they were catcalled. That's
yeah,
their problem. They're not getting
I'm
them
pretty
anymore.
sure the original She-Hulk, like the one for the comics at least, like she had trouble. I don't know. There was a storyline in which trouble controlling her lust.
She-Hulk in the comics, she was a bit insecure of herself, but yet, well, not really insecure. Like she was a bit more meek, because like she has everything that she wanted to be, though. Not everything she wanted to be. She wanted to aspire to be what we see with her when she later becomes She-Hulk. But how'd she get the She-Hulk powers? Because of a blood transfusion from her and Banner, because she was shot by gangsters. Because the reason why is because the Hulk actually has a healing factor. It's almost on par with Wolverine's healing factor. So then suddenly he snuck into a hospital, but yet suddenly had to sneak and then completed the transfusion, but he didn't even have the license to get in, so then he had to hide from the police. But yet suddenly the gangsters that were dressed as doctors as in disguise tried to capture Jennifer Walters, but yet suddenly, similar to how Banner reacts turning into the Hulk, this is what happened to Jennifer Walters turning into She-Hulk instead.
Thank you for clearing that up, boys and girls. Like Final just said, she got the powers for a blood transfusion, not from a few little pints of drippy drop blood on her feet, on her arm, like on the show, and all of a sudden she becomes She-Hulk. Don't. That's not how it works. That's not how it works. So, but the writers of that show, like she said, when I'm catcalled, I think those writers wish they were catcalled. See, they're not getting the catcalls anymore. Catcalls, look, I can ignore catcalls. I'm not bragging, but I got them a lot. I don't want to say one of them that I said. Y'all crack up if I heard one that said it's. Let's just say it was about my behind, okay? And the guy in the car want the whole world to know that how glorious my behind was. And I was like, well, thank you for telling it to everyone on the street, but I'm cool.
I've
But
been abused by my father, and I saw him kill my mother right in front of me, and I developed a imaginary friend helped me throughout my college life, but was destructive. But then suddenly, one of my colleagues was a Russian spy, and yet already fired a gamma bomb at me and turned me into this rampaging monster that I can't control. Boo-hoo, grow up. I've been catcalled. So MC!
what you heard was, like we said, those are the writers venting insecurities. That's what the writers are doing. Those
And
are the
just like a
writers
tyrant, where they know that they have no grasp on their power when it's slipping, they're already going to become insecure.
And like Wolf was saying, Wolf thinks, correct me if I'm getting you wrong, Wolf, but they think that's the audience that they're writing to. I hope I'm saying this right, but they believe that's us. It ain't me. Yeah.
Well, no. They're
Okay.
writing to insecure women, hot from college, who are told that this is what's going to happen to them when they leave college, or it happens any waking moment when they leave the house. And this is told by women who are also unattractive,
Yes.
who make themselves to be unattractive too, so that they don't get that kind of treatment. But they're always bringing that up like it's always like somebody's gonna pop up out of nowhere and stab you. I'm
Yeah.
like you think catcalling is the same as getting murdered. You are so cute. I'm like let me take you to the ghetto. And I'm talking about the deep ghetto. And then come back to me with that catcalling bullshit, because you're gonna get more than just getting catcalled when you're walking down the hood.
True.
You'll be assailed by drug dealers trying to sell you something. You'll be assailed by pimps who want to pimp you out. But catcalling is the worst thing that could ever happen to you. Or you trying to have a fit at work is equal to being murdered. Apparently, bitch, you get fired from your job. You get to live from that. Whereas nobody lives past 16 or 20 in the hood, fucking around in the hood. So don't give me that shit.
And Batter just sits there like a good little puppy, because that's the way they write men, like a good little puppy, and like, yeah, that's right. You are better than me, despite you know everything that happened to me. You are better than me, the man. That is just as worse as that do better speech in affirmative action man and white guilt soldier. That is just
Goodness.
as bad. That is just as that the speech is
Thank you very
just as bad.
much. I don't know what do you say to something like this? About 3 years ago, this city really took me inside. You know, I want to thank you very much for that. I really do. I've been thinking that I wasn't gonna bring this up, but I might as well now. I'll never do anything to hurt this sport that has been so really good to me. And I've been talking it over with my wife and my manager. We think that it's really hard to say this. I feel like, well, I think maybe it's time that I should step down, maybe, and retire. Get him out while you can. Don't give the sucker no statue. Give him guts. I told I told you I wasn't going away. You got your shot. Now give me mine. Why don't you get the hell out of here? Shut up, old man. I ain't going nowhere. Why don't you all these nice folks? Why don't you tell all these not shit? Why don't you tell all these? What the fuck is going on with this spelling? Shit. IMDb. You can never recite a quote without them fucking up the damn grammar. I want you to tell all these nice folks why you been ducking me. Politics, man. Cause you want to keep me down. Keep everyone weak. They don't want me to have the title because I'm not a puppet like that fool there. You know, you got a big mouth, you know. Well, why don't you come down here and close it, Bobo? Come on. Come on. There ain't time. This guy's crazy. Don't listen to him. That little man don't want to come to me. And I'll come to you people to lay out the truth. I'm right. Number one. One. That means I'm the best. But this bum been taking the easy matches. Find other bums. I tell you, and everybody here, I find them anywhere, anytime, for nothing. But the people ain't never gonna see that happen because he's gonna retire. You see, he don't want to fight no real man. He fights these setups. What? You're a disgrace to this sport. Shut up, old man. You don't know where I had to come from. But boy, your family doing nice, ain't it? You call yourself a fighter? Prove it now. Give me that same chance. The way you've been ducking is disgrace. If you ain't no coward, why don't you fight me then? I can't listen to this anymore. Anytime you want. I don't care what your rank. You don't get no shot, and I mean it.
That is from Rocky 2. I mean, not
3.
Rocky 2, 3. Yes, 3. The one with the Eye of the Tiger song. Yeah. That's from Rocky 3. But it goes back to that's a good
Pushing
quote,
this
Marty.
authoritarianism and tyranny. Where do we need the tricksters for this to overthrow this? Because tricksters normally would always be the answer to whenever there would be this tyranny going on when there's of those exact injustices. So tricksters like Robin Hood, who always answers from tyranny by punishing the rich and rewarding the poor. Well, not the poor from their actions, but just giving to the poor by stealing from the rich. Same thing, same case scenario with Ishikawa Goemon, the Japanese equivalent to Robin Hood, or someone who punishes the rich, but yet is only in it for themselves, like Arcia Lupin. We need those, even though, yeah, we would need those aspirational heroes, but yet those types of tricksters, better late than now than never to get those.
Yeah, you're right, Final. And Marty, you're right too. It's cool, but not at the expense of the audience. You know, it's
Rising up,
yeah.
back on the street.
Well,
Hit my
yeah,
time,
that's-
took my chances. Went the distance, now I'm back on my feet. Just a man and his will
read
to
your book.
survive. So many times it happens too fast. You trade passion for glory. Don't lose your grip on the dreams of the past. You must fight, keep them alive. It's the eye of the tiger, it's the thrill of the fight. Rising up to the challenge of our rival. And the last known survivor stalks his prey in the night, and he's watching us all with the eye of the tiger.
I
Face,
had
face,
oh
out in the heat, and fuck this heat. Hanging tough, staying hungry. They stack the odds till we take to the street for
Humble.
the kill with the skill to survive.
Could
It's
I?
the eye of the tiger. I'm not done yet. It's the thrill of the fight. Rising up to the challenge of our rival. And the last known survivor stalks his prey in the night. And he's watching us all with the eye of the tiger. Ding, 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 ding. Ding, 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 the eye of the tiger. All right, I'm done.
you were saying, Eloise.
You good?
Oh, I was gonna say that like a big part of marketing is figuring out who shares a common interest and then like try and promote it
But
to
that,
to the people that share that common interest. So um it's like you have to like strike a balance between making sure the writing is enjoyable to you as well as making sure that the writing appeals to the audience.
but don't you think, and guys, you can pitch in on this. Don't you think now they insult the audience that now Marvel is at the point saying these geeks do whatever you want to these characters. They're going to pay money anyway to see it.
Yeah,
That's
and
what they
Don't you
think.
think it's
that's a
That's
lack
what
of
they think.
respect
The
for the audience.
education. They think the
A lack,
education is going to bring the money in. The
yeah.
educationing of the storytelling. They think this education conditioning is what is going to mark what they want to market to these people. Is basically you're telling the fans that okay, we're the new teachers. We're not the marketers or the shareholders per se, but we are the quote unquote creators that are going to run your network now. So this is
Bull
what we're going to
crap.
do. We're going
Your
to
job
educate.
is to
We're going to
entertain.
educate you on things that you've been privileged to too privileged to understand and have ignored for the longest time, and we're going to be heard now. So we're going to tell you why Captain America has to be a Nazi because he promotes nationalism. We're going to teach you how we're going to change all the women's body types because all the women that were in Marvel and DC were written by men who don't understand the struggles of being a woman, and they always selling unrealistic body types and unrealistic beauty standards and unrealistic ho- uh, 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 g- gender normatives. So we're going to tell you how it's wrong for you to like sexy women, how it's wrong for you to like women at all. You should be liking men instead, or you should be converting to the altar of transgenderism and gender fluidity. So you should be praying to that, and you should be at the under the boot heels of the women because we've been doing all this all of our lives. Everything you guys have done, it's really been done by us women. We've been in the kitchen for a long time, and we're now our voices are gonna be heard. Bitch, you haven't even cooked for your mama, so shut the fuck up. But you don't understand.
Bull crap.
But you don't understand. I've been in
Oh,
the
I
kitchen
do
just like
understand.
my mom.
I do understand. You want to do this because you want to see yourself onto the map when that would never be a thing by preaching to an audience, by preaching to the choir. Your job is to entertain, not lecture.
exactly, exactly,
Sure
Go
you
back to
exactly.
sure
Peter
you
Jackson's quote when he was doing the Lord of the Rings trilogy.
Yeah, I remember that
who is
quote.
that? A cis straight white male educating people? That's patriarchy talk.
That's not patriarchy, not even education. He was making entertainment because he loved Lord of the Rings.
Evil cannot create, it can only destroy.
Dom, you've been silent for a while. What you gotta say on all this shit?
He's muted.
I know he's muted.
Oh.
Now I want to break his silence for once. Let's encourage him. Dom, Dom, Dom,
Speak
Dom,
or forever hold your peace.
Dom, 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 Dominic.
You've
Dom,
got the
Dom,
floor.
Dom, 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 Dominic. Dom, Dom,
Yep. I
Dominic.
was about to ask if he
Dom,
was
Dom,
reciting the
Dom, Dom,
Jaws theme, but
Dom,
yep,
Dom, Dom,
he's
Dom,
going to.
Dom, 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 Dom. Uh, uh, uh.
It sounds like the white shark is approaching from Jaws.
Yeah, because that's what he's doing exactly when doing that.
Yeah, that's what I.
One,
Yeah.
two, Tom is coming for you. 3, 4, better
Oh, the
lock your
Lord.
books.
You call
5,
me?
yes, I
Yeah.
called. Took you long enough.
Well, excuse me. I was involved in another conversation.
Well, tell your friend to go home. It's late at night. We got strangers out running around. We got homeless folk running around trying to offer you some stuff that they don't even have, and then all of a sudden they flashing you and all that stuff, asking for whatever for many favors. I'm not gonna say that on stream. Aside from all the vulgar shit I always say, don't want to put that image in your head. But what do you guys say in all this, Don? Were you even here enough to hear what we are talking about?
Yeah, I was listening to the whole thing.
Okay.
And first off, well, the person I was talking to is happens to be a relative of mine.
Oh, nice.
Well, second, look, what we've been seeing in pop culture and outside of it, like some of these modern day creatives are not learning from the masters.
Never
And
refused.
also, they not only refuse to, but they think they know better. Even if they master the fundamentals, they still got a lot to learn.
You know what thing I missed out on my speech as well. They're also they're also practicing what you would call the reductive listening, or rather reductive marketing. Like,
Uh, are they doing are they doing everything what they told you
Guys, my
in a
phone is about to
in a
die,
marketing
so I'll
class,
be in the
or
chat.
from a
Okay,
time
mentor
out.
who has been in the marketing business for a long time? They're doing what they shouldn't do.
In other words, don't like it, don't buy it. Well, why aren't you buying it? Well, you told us not to buy it if we don't like it.
Well,
So apparently, I don't like it. So why should I waste my money on something I don't like?
it just
Exactly.
comes to show like they failed on their SWOT analysis. And to those who don't know, SWOT is short for strength, weakness, opportunity, and threat. It's just one of the fundamentals in marketing.
Next by Karen's. That's a good one, humble Marty. That's exactly what it is. Um,
If I were to
and
draw pretty much many parallels, pretty much to that from how they just start learning, but just from their hubris they don't learn, it's pretty much exactly what happened to Lucifer in his downfall, where I should actually Loki actually suffered from this downfall too. I should rule this throne. I should have this throne. I should rule all because I'm better than you. That mentality.
yes, that's it. Yeah, and that's they. Well, they think they're better, but they're really not. They're really not. But they only do that to try to play themselves up. Like Wolf taught out, these women, or these uber super nasty little feminists, are know they're lacking something, but instead of improving their own lives, they want to ruin everybody else's. That's what the problem that I see is, just exactly what he said. And I forgot the other part I was going to bring up. I wanted to bring up this example. And the sad thing is, this is not how you want to write, because we're seeing it now. Like I said, it'll start to fall, but it'll go very slowly. In fact, I was going to share this video. I'm going to put it in MeWe, where they gave a listing of Marvel toys that are selling and not selling.
Mm-hmm.
And this is important
Oh yeah, I
because,
seen that. I
did you see
seen
that?
that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was a great video that did some really information that woke is not working, because the popular older school characters are selling, but the new ones that nobody likes are the ones. And this is true because I see it in the stores that I go to, and since I collect dolls, I see what's on the shelf. Most of those shelves are filled with Star Wars toys from the Disney company, but Star Wars toys
Hmm.
that are original Lucas stuff, that's what sells out. But they are flooded in, and now they're selling them for 99 cents. They want to get rid of them so badly. Nobody wants it. There's lots of Captain Marvel. There's lots of internals. There's a whole bunch of characters. And then Final, did you check out the section where he said where the top 3 Marvel sellers were?
Yeah, they were Captain America.
Iron Man.
Actually, wait, Captain America. Spider-Man's at number 1.
Yes,
Captain
Spider-Man's
America
number
is
1.
at number 2, and then Iron Man. Actually, yeah, Captain America. And here we go again. And yeah,
Okay, go ahead. Look.
uh,
Go
so
ahead.
yeah,
Yeah, go ahead. Final.
so yeah, Captain America is at number 2 in Canada. Yeah,
In
Canada.
Canada and here in the United States, he's number 2 nationally, and internationally, he's number 2 seller.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, those are always the biggest things. Hell, Todd McFarlane even knows about this because he knows the exact marketing. He's produced countless Batman statues, especially those for Spawn. Even the Mortal Kombat toy line, he knows the audience well.
Yes, he knows that audience very well. So when they say top sellers with Spider-Man merchandise of any kind, whether it's toys, collectibles, costumes, shirts, bed sheets, anything with the Spider-Man logo is a top seller. No one is buying Miles Morales. Okay, the point I'm trying to make is now the affirmative
Yeah, because
action
hardly
cap.
anyone else,
Yeah.
hardly any children, they don't want to see Miles Morales Spider-Man. They want Peter Parker because he's the OG.
And those receipts show it. The numbers don't lie. The numbers do not lie. And then
Hell, same thing with Gwen
yeah.
Stacy as Ghost Spider. While we're at it,
Yeah. Did you catch what they said about
a god?
no.
Then die.
Ray, when someone asks you if you're a god, you say yes.
yes?
All right, this chick is toast. Right. Every line in that movie was always in Ghostbusters was always so quotable. You could pretty much quote the entire script of the movie and you get that. Like, oh yeah, this reminds me about the time you tried to drill a hole through your head. Remember that? That would have worked if you hadn't stopped me.
I agree with you. Every line in that movie is absolutely quotable.
There's something important I would like to tell you guys. What? Don't cross the streams. Why? It will be bad. I'm fuzzy on the whole good-bad thing. What do you mean bad? Try to imagine all life as you know is stopping at every moment and every molecule in your body exploding at the speed of light. Total protonic reversal. Okay, that's bad. Okay, important and safety tip. Thanks, you got.
Just every line in that film from every one of those guys is funny, no matter how it's said.
I guess we had to step and take control.
I like that song. And
that one's from Ghostbusters 2. Now I remember that song.
Yes. Yeah, I did like that record.
This stuff because the city paycheck in it. Yeah, this stuff
higher.
Final, did you catch the part of that video we talked about female superheroes and how they don't sell?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
that he's
hardly if ever they would sell, because like this is even what Toei would even do when selling toys for Kamen Rider and Super Sentai, despite having females in the team, like for example Lupin Yellow, Pato Ranger Sango for Lupin Ranger versus Pato Ranger, or Kamen Rider Valkyrie from Kamen Rider 01. They would be selling that because of course there would be female heroes in the team, which obviously there would be, because there are females who are always heroes. There are females who are always heroes, the heroines. You would always have them in your mythology. But then their primary target audience for this is always younger boys. But yet, whenever showing a female lead with the belt on, if you're selling Kamen Rider, or if they're the leader for a Super Sentai like a Red Ranger Ninja, like which we did have in Shinkenger and Power Ranger Samurai to an extent, they probably would not even be turned off by. They probably would be turned off by that, because the primary target audience for tokusatsu with Super Sentai or Kamen Rider, especially among Power Rangers, is always younger boys.
I agree with you. And the video basically said, guys, that female heroes, the Captain Marvels and all that blah, 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 are not selling. They're not buying them. The Disney princesses
Today's females
are outselling.
Yeah, today's females actually. In fact, when you have like the Marvel Legends figures of Rogue, specifically of Classic Rogue, they would still be on the shelves. I mean, it'd be at least 3 or 4 of them would be on there. But yet the rest would just be filled with like a lot of Eternal stuff, like a lot of characters in the Eternals in the film, or a lot of the Spider-Man stuff that would still be on there. Yet kids would always be up for grabs with that.
Oh, all them Eternal toys are one of the stores at my grocery stores has them in a bin and begs people buy two for $2 or 2 for $5. They don't know. Nobody's buying them. Nobody is touching them. But today's heroes, the ones that the Marvel woke heroes, nobody's buying those. But the classic characters, the Wonder Womans, the Storms, the Rogues, those characters are selling pretty good. But these characters they have now are not selling. The Disney princesses are selling more than the heroes they're making now.
I mean, We've been already going so much on a bit of a Debbie Downer note. I would like to
Mm-hmm.
at least give something with a bit more positive hope by
Go right ahead.
reciting a poem by William Blake. Reciting a poem by William Blake. So here we go. Joy and
This is
woe. Oh, I thought Wolf pulled something out because I heard you laughing.
no. I was gonna say it's now time for a final poetry moment. So that's all. Listen.
Joy and woe are woven fine, a clothing for a soul divine. Under every grief and pine runs a joy with the silken twine. It is a right, it should be so. It is right, it should be so. Man was made for joy and woe. And when this we rightly know, safely through the world we go.
And snaps. Yes. 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 We have to culcate into that into this in our streams. Wolf. We have to have poetry moments before we end. We have to have the final fantasy fan poetry moment.
Hey, I didn't authorize that shit.
Well, I just suggested it. I didn't say you had to authorize it. It was just a suggestion.
It is authorized.
Oh, okay. You went into a good note. The bottom line is we will not be negative. It's just that all of you that have a passion to write, I think you need to find the right way to do it because you're not seeing it right now.
Yeah, because
You're not
Friedrich
seeing it
Nietzsche
right now.
actually discovered from this, like, in order to actually discover more of your true self, like, there's a flaw in you, you need to work on this, because you have to work on your own strength.
But Wolf, don't you think that's true? But Wolf, don't you think still? I think that these shows are hiring these writers from college. They just have not had enough life experience. So what they think is funny is they're laughing in their own head, but the audience isn't laughing with it.
Hmm.
And that's the problem between
Well,
the
it's the matter of
industry
fact
and them.
jokes. That's the problem with it. It's matter of fact jokes. And
Like,
it's a matter of unfacts.
like, there's pretty much a way you could still write a joke in a comedy, but won't guarantee that it would be funny, but not always the best formula. But something that I would like to share whenever you would be writing a joke for a comedy, won't guarantee it, but it's called the Pavlov theory. Much of you might actually learn that. And I remember first time hearing that theory, I was laughing my ass off whenever I first heard that theory for the first time. So basically, Pavlov conditioned the dogs to slobber and to actually have a sign that there would be the dogs would be eating. So then he conditions the dogs to do it. But yet suddenly he walks into a bar and hears the bell ring, but then sees his dog slobbering, and then he thinks about this, and then finally figures out, and then says, "Oh shit! I forgot to feed my dogs." Yeah, because
That-
that line, I remember I was laughing my ass off when I heard that. Because here's actually how that works. It's the logic swap. So he conditioned the dogs to do it, but yet when suddenly he thinks and then realizes, "Oh shit! I forgot to feed my dogs," he conditioned himself that every time he would ring the bell, he would have to condition his dogs to eat the food because they would slobber anytime.
okay, okay, okay. Now I get it. Now after you retold it. but
Well,
my,
probably didn't do a good job if you had to explain the joke.
Well, yeah, but still, it was just basically a theory, really.
Hmm.
Because again, the theory won't guarantee successfully on how you actually write a joke, but it's still something on how you would actually tell a joke in your writing in comedy.
it's like I'll give you an
Like, say
example.
if you're gonna be writing a fight scene, and yet suddenly you recite an entire novel on a fight scene, but then suddenly the fight turns sexual, but then you were left to think for that, and then suddenly realize, wait, oh, now they realize because the novel has been switched out. That's the joke. That's where it actually gets you laughs. Well, you would see it, but then you would have to think about that as like, wait, how did the fight suddenly turn sexual? But then you realize the logic swap. The novel's been switched out from a martial arts one to a romantic novel.
Oh. Well, I think about let's like when I go back to example like Wolf brought out about Martin when he had his show and how the writing was on point on that show and the comedy was on that show, not from the everyday situations. Like I one of my favorite episodes on there is when he's desperately trying to find out what Tommy does for a living, and how he just goes through it's like he becomes 007 super spy, taking it seriously, trying to figure out what does Tommy do for a living. And in the end, he finds out it wasn't they're doing a charity event, but to Martin, it's serious business. And there's one where they're having this stakeout. He's taking it seriously. Then Hustle Man shows up and wants him to give these tires. And he's like, "No, man, I'm sitting here trying to find out, what my friends doing. I don't want to buy no tires. I want a stakeout." Then they're sitting there, and then they come to find out they're at the wrong address, and then to make it worse, they got robbed from their tires. So every moment just hits
By Hustle Man.
by Hustle, yeah, by Hustle Man. So every moment just hits. I mean, I just say that for the example. It should be an example, but Barton is like keen, desperate to find out what he's doing to some point that he becomes the spy, and every little inclination they're trying to figure out what is going on. Maybe Tommy's doing something that's illegal. I don't know. I got to find out what it means. And it finds out when they get there to Strippendales, they think Tommy is stripping to pay the bills. And Martin's like, "Oh, this is what he's been doing. Oh, I got to stop him from doing this. I got to go in there and tell him you don't have to live and do like this." And then find out it was a charity event. So
Strippendales.
Yeah, Strippendales. But that is the humor. The humor is the seriousness. Martin is taking it to find out what Tommy does for a living, and all the events that happen. Him trying to do that, from getting robbed by Hustle Man to going to the wrong address. Another example, Coming to America. How Eddie and Arsenio Hall play all the interesting characters that Akeem runs into when he's there looking for his woman, looking for his bride, and they play all the characters. And all that is funny because you may have met someone who acts a lot like all these different characters that Eddie plays. So it's got the guys in the barbershop. Everybody loves the guys in the barbershop. The guys in the barbershop crack it up because everybody says,
Is there a barbershop quartet there involved?
No, there's three brothers in a barbershop talking smack.
Since you
But
said
Eddie-
barbershop, there's like, okay, wait, is there a barbershop quartet in there? But then you said no. I was like,
Sorry about that. But Eddie plays.
You must be out of your goddamn mind. Joe Louis, the great boxer ever here. I'll be with you in a minute. I'll be with you in a minute. He better than he better than Kasha K. He better than Sugar Ray. He better than who's that new boy? Mike Tyson. Look like Bulldog. He better than him too. He whipped up Mike Tyson's ass. He whipped all their asses. What about Marky Marciano? Oh, there they go. There they go. Every time I start talking about boxing, a white man got pulled back my side of the ass. That's A1. That's A1. Mike Marciano. Let me tell you something. What's going on? Mike Marciano good, but compared to Joe Louis, Mike Marciano ain't shit. He beat Joe Louis' ass. That's right. He whooped Joe Louis' ass. Joe Louis was 75 years old. When he fought.
what
I don't know how old he is, but
were you listening to?
I don't know how old he was, but he got his ass whooped. Joe Louis came out of retirement to fight Mike Marciano. The man was 76 years old. Joe Louis said, all lied about his ass. He lied all the time. One time, Frank Sinatra came over here. I sat in his chair. I said, Frank, you're here with Joe Louis. Just between you. How old is Joe Louis? Know what Frank told me? He said, hey, Joe Louis is 137 years old. 107 years old. Oh, man, you ain't never met no Frank Sinatra. Fuck you, and fuck you. Who's next?
What kind of barbershop quartet have you been listening to?
Final, you've never seen Coming to America?
I don't think I have really.
Oh
That's heresy.
I haven't seen it.
Oh my
Crunch up
I
in
might
my
have
god!
seen
ass
it, but,
button.
For
Oh.
you! Oh,
Um,
Final.
A man has a right to change his name
Hey,
to
I've been into the heroics
to
since I was
where
a
he
kid.
wants
I was a massive Spider-Man fan.
A man has the right to change his name whether he wants to change it to. If a man wants to be called Muhammad Ali, goddamn, it's a free country. You should respect his wishes and call him the man Muhammad Ali. Is Mark call him Clay? I'm call him Clay. And your putts, all your putzes, they should change the sign outside my teeth shop to say 3 putzes.
Sure, if I had the wings of a swallow, I would fly
You know, Sweets,
far
I
over
met
the
Martin Luther King once. You lie,
Wait,
you ain't never
sea.
wait.
met no Martin Luther King.
Do
Yeah, I met
you
Martin Luther King.
mind?
Yeah, I met Martin Luther King in 1972 in Memphis,
Oh,
Tennessee. I walking down the
final.
street, mind my own business, just walking, feeling good. I walk around the corner, a man walked up, hit me on my chest right, and I fell on the ground right, and I looked up, and it's Martin Luther King. I said, Dr. King? And he said, oops, I thought you was somewhere else. Oh man, you lie,
Final,
you ain't never met
final.
no Martin Luther King. Knocked the way out of me. Yes, he did. No, he didn't. Yes, he did. No, he didn't.
Final, what were you singing? Is that a
I was singing a
song?
barbershop. Yeah, it's a barbershop quartet song that I had listened to for quite a while actually.
Oh,
Yeah,
oh,
here we go.
this.
It was actually part of the. It's actually part of the bass notes because my voice is a bass baritone. So I would try. I don't go like super deep like many a cappella groups do whenever they would have a bass. But here we go.
You're not very white face.
Sure,
Oh, it's so
if
deep.
I had the wings of a swallow, I would fly far over the sea.
Damn it! I messed up.
Far
You're a
over the
mean one,
Oh
Mr.
Lord.
sea.
Grinch.
Hmm.
You
I was
really
singing the barbershop
are a
song and then you come
hero.
in.
Final
You have
ones.
termites in your smile. You have toe jam in your toes, Mr.
I don't remember
Grinch.
that being in the lyrics.
Yes, my version. But finish, please.
Sure, if I had the wings of a swallow, I would fly far over the sea.
That's very nice.
Yeah, because that's how deep the voice that voice of that song would actually pretty much go whenever you're at a bass at a barbershop quartet and you just go, "Yee." No. Yee.
It's 9 o'clock on a Saturday. The regular crowd shuffles in. There's an old man
How
sitting
many
next to me,
times do I have to put up my
making love
face
to his
cam?
tonic and gin. More times than you need to.
Oh my God.
He said, son, can you play me a memory? I'm not sure, really sure how it goes, but it's sad and it's sweet. And I knew it complete when I wore a younger man's clothes. La la dee da da, la la dee da da dum. Sing us a song, you're the piano man. Sing us a song tonight. We're all in the mood for melody, and you've got us feeling alright. Now John at the bar is a friend of mine. He gives me drinks for free, and he's quick with a joke or light up your smoke. There's a someplace that he'd rather be. He says, Bill, I believe this is killing me. As a smile ran away from his face. Well, I'm sure I could be a movie star if I could get out of this place. La la di da da, la la di da 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 dum.
But
Now Paul is a real estate novelist who never had time
come
for
on!
Oh, whoa.
and he's talking with Davy, who's still in the Navy and probably will be for life.
We're over the 2 hour mark too.
Yeah,
I know.
because
But if you want to sing,
I mean, I already sang that barbershop quartet in the bass note, but here's how the lead would go.
Uh-huh.
Sure, if I had the wings of a swallow, I would fly far over the sea.
that's very
That's
nice.
nice.
Hmm.
Because it is a barbershop quartet. I might have to send you the link to whoever
Now
sung
sing
that
Joseph
barbershop.
in the Technicolor Dreamcoat.
I don't know that song.
No shit. You're a mean one, Mr.
Oh,
Grinch.
here we go.
You really
It's not even December
are
yet.
real. You're as cuddly as a cactus. You're as charming as an eel, Mr. Grinch. Hey, you're a bad banana. with a greasy black pill. Boom, 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 boom. You're a monster, Mr. Grinch. Your heart's an empty hole. Your brain is full of spiders. You have garlic in your soul, Mr. Grinch. I wouldn't touch you, Jack, with a 39.5 foot pole. Boom, 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 boom. You're a foul one, Mr. Grinch. You have termites in your smile. You have all the tender sweetness of a seasick crocodile, Mr. Grinch. Given a choice between the two of you, hey, I take the seasick crocodile. Boom,
Oh my goodness.
boom, boom. You're a foul one,
Oh,
Mr. Grinch.
Wait,
You're a
you already sang that lyric of the
nasty,
song.
wasty skunk. Your
oh,
heart is
well,
full of unwashed socks. Your soul is full of gunk, Mr. Grinch. The three
I,
words that best describe you are as follows, and I quote: stink, stank, stunk. You're rotter,
okay. Oh,
Mr. Grinch. You're the king of sinful
I thought I
thoughts.
I thought
are
I
you?
heard
Your
you
heart
just
a dead
saying the like
tomato flushed with
like oh
moldy
god, what is he
purple
put up
spots,
now?
Mr. Grinch. The soul is an appalling dump heap, overflowing with most disgraceful assortment of rubbish imaginable, manageable, intangible nuts. You nauseate me, Mr.
Well,
Grinch, with a nauseous super nos. You're crooked, dirty jockey, and you drive a crooked horse, Mr. Grinch. That's my own spin.
yes,
You're
that's
a
what it sounds like.
three-decker sauerkraut and
Oh,
toadstool
well,
sandwich with arsenic
oh my
sauce.
God. I assume we're now at the fun moment now. Now we're singing.
Yeah, their audience has disappeared on us. So I'd like to
It's
thank
Oh gee, I
what?
everybody for
wonder
being
why.
here. Those one of you and those 0% of you guys who just jumped in and out of here, those non-existent motherfuckers that keep coming in. Thank you, Eloise, for gracing us, the Bear of the North herself. Thank you, everybody who been there and appreciating us doing the chats and all. Wait, we got one left. Oh, wow, nice. Thank you, the Warrior of Light, for putting up with all the hijinks. The Warrior of Light, Final Fantasy Fan 12.
Well, that about does it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you like what you saw, click like and subscribe and share with your family and friends. And make sure you ring that notification bell, that way you get notified of our latest videos. Go subscribe to Wolf10 Media if you haven't already. Go subscribe to me if you haven't already. Once again, thank you guys so much for watching. This is Final Fantasy Fan 12 signing off, and remember, may the light forever shine upon us.
For a brief second and brief moment of speech, the Hound of the South, Dominic Powell.
Well, thank you everybody for joining us in tonight's live stream. Yes, I wasn't able to contribute as much because I was busy doing other things. But other than that, I hope you all enjoy tonight's conversation. If you got any more topics that you want us to discuss, put it down in the comment section down below. In the meantime, make sure you like, share, and subscribe to Wolf10 Media's channel. Until next time, this is the Hound of the South, Dominic Powell, signing off.
The Lady of Valor, Leia plus size.
Good evening, everyone. This is Leia Plus Size, your lovely lady of valor, and I want to thank all of you that did come to our stream. We hope that we give you some enlightenment and knowledge into, if you're very serious about writing, whether you want to do a novel, whether you want to do a screenplay, or whether you want to do a comic book, about knowing your audience and why you are writing. That is very, very important. I think this is an art form that is dying, and we need good writers to bring this art form back. The best stories are the ones that are well written, so you want to keep that in mind. If you have any suggestions of topics that you want us to rant about, because you know how we are, please leave it in the comments below. I'm sure Wolf would very much appreciate it, and we hope you all have a great holiday weekend, and we will see you next time.
Speak. your Wolf Commander Wolf 10, remind you guys that if you are going to be an aspiring creator or a creative, just remember that you have to have something to bring the audience in. Especially if you're telling somebody that you're either a writer or a songwriter or a musician or anything like that, you gotta have something to produce for people to make it worth your time, worth their time to invest in you. Of course, you gotta have that charm and that likability. That's another thing we're gonna probably have to talk about next time. How to really market yourself, and I think that's probably what we're going to do in the meantime while we're waiting to since we're now in the first day of September. Tune in to the end of September where we got the Outlaw Star Anime Spotlight coming up. Um, Again, in the meantime, we'll be covering some other topics, especially when it comes to guys. We've been talking about how we're supposed to be the change and how we're trying to encourage you guys to be a change. Now we're actually going to be talking about how to do that now instead of just always saying platitudes and all that jazz, right? I guess you guys agree with me, so there's silence.
Yes, yes,
Yeah, I
yes,
mean,
yes.
yeah.
I was letting you finish. Yes, I
But yeah,
agree.
what I'm saying is like this is where we're going with when it comes to our regularly scheduled program. Aside from the anime spotlights and possibly more movie trilogy talks, but also tune in for what's going to be happening in the fall, of course, in Halloween, or at least around in the middle of or towards the end of October, maybe we'll be doing our elevator pitch of our very own what we would do if we were handling a horror movie, a thriller, or even a series for that matter. Just basically horror themed, in other words. So I hope you guys have been thinking of some ideas to pitch. We're gonna have some fun pitching some ideas.
Oh yeah, I got a lot planned on the Halloween special of Wolf Commander Rambles.
You've
I
been a
have a
busy
few,
man.
but I have a few ideas myself too.
We're still gonna do the 5 minute the 5 minute deal just like we did last time in elevator pitch. So be ready for that. Be ready to limit it down to at least try to say as much as 5 minutes, or at least do what you can to sell it under 5 minutes, right?
I can do it in 5 minutes.
Coming up in November, once again, and I can't stress it enough, we'll be doing it week by week, Tuesdays only. We'll be talking about Beast Wars Transformers season by season. So I don't know how we're gonna do this, but we're gonna figure a way how to do this, or at least you guys will probably just be enjoying the ride, hearing us talk about how great Beast Wars was, and maybe you guys will check it out sometime. Those of you who have seen it, those of you who haven't seen it, it's a treat. Animation quality may not be to the standards of what we are used to these days, but when that is lacking, what you should be more focused on is your story. And Beast Wars is a great story, especially in the Transformers universe, where it rests solely in between Transformers One and possibly whatever show that did the prequel Transformers stories. So definitely tune into that one. Um, Still haven't figured out what we're gonna be doing in December. That's why I've been singing all these Christmas songs. Just can't wait for this fucking year to be over at this point.
You sure
That
you're
I'm
ready
sick and
for
tired of being hot.
2023?
I mean, I already got something prepared straight for Christmas this year.
I'm working on
Right?
some things. Hmm.
It's
And I will not
another
say what it is.
Christmas
Yeah.
holiday. It's a
Yeah, yeah, I
joyous
will not
thing
say.
that the angels sing. What you
Yeah, I
got?
will not say exactly what exactly it's going to be, but it is going to be a video game recap, and
Of
it's
course.
what I made for you guys on the UN Space Sea Wolf Squadron, but also to you guys that are watching, you the audience.
That sounds like fun and perfect for that time, for that season. That'd be
Mm-hmm.
great to have. That's perfect when we're in a happy time mood. So
Mm-hmm.
that'll be great.
Anyways, we got we're gonna have something ready for Christmas. Maybe we'll watch something Christmas related or talk about something Christmas related.
Yeah, the video. Oh yeah, the video game recap will be on my channel. It won't be on here on this
Right.
show.
I'll make sure to be there.
I mean, it won't be live. It's just going to be a full-fledged video.
Oh, right. What am I talking about? Well, you're gonna be a busy man these next couple of months, and I need to get busy because right now I've been writing bouncers. But I need to get some artwork done, and October is another month away, and I still need to do my Hollow Week
Yeah.
pictures.
Yeah, I'm gonna actually
And
have
I already
some
got the theme since I did Ghoul School
a lot of fun on
last year.
Christmas actually.
Yeah, since I already did Ghoul School last year, I'm gonna do Resident Evil. Since there's a lot of female characters to dress my characters in. Anyways, just to remind you guys, you are the UN Spacey. Welcome to the Wolf Fleet.
Now you're all probably wondering why I called you here.
Hell yeah, you dragged us out in the middle of a stormy night. What's wrong with you, fool?
And why did you want us all in black?
I'm setting my scene.